I'd like to make note of additional sponsors up here with the clerk. I remind everyone one more time to silence your cell phones. Where is he? Mr. Miller? Mr. Miles.
Are we going to call a roll? After we call a roll, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to take local law E out of order.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Beston. Bullock. Bergdorf.
Here.
Kale.
Here.
Chapman. Clay.
Here.
Camiso. Kraus.
Here.
Cunningham. Dawson.
Here.
Demolowitz.
Here.
Drake. Ethier.
Here.
Feeney.
Here.
Fine.
Here.
Frenier.
Here.
Grimm.
Here.
Higgins.
Here.
Hogan.
Here.
Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce.
Here.
Lakakis. Lockhart.
Here.
Moriello.
Here.
Mayo.
Here.
McKnight. McLean Lane. Mendick.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
Plosky. Reinhardt.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Touche.
Here.
Tunney.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Willingham. 37 present.
Thank you. Mr. Miles.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take local law E out of order.
We have a motion to take local law E out of order. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's read local law E. Mr. Miller?
I'd like to request, Chairman, that local law E be sent back to the Health and Law Committee for amendments that we have been considering. We'd like to have them fully vetted.
So you have proposed amendments and changes to local law E, which you'd like to be considered, and we want to move it back to committee. Which committees would you like it to go to?
Health and Law.
Please send local law E back to law and health.
Thank you.
First item under previous business, resolution number 120, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number D for 2019.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 120 passes. Just so we all know, resolutions 211 through 215 are going to be long roll calls. Resolution number 211, please.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget contingent account adjustment to create recreational opportunities for children.
Long roll call, please.
Beston. Bullock. Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Chapman. Clay.
Yeah.
Camiso. Kraus.
No.
Cunningham. Dawson.
Yes.
Demolowitz.
No.
Ethier.
No.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Frenier.
Yes.
Grimm.
No.
Higgins.
Aye.
Hogan.
No.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Raymond Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Moriello. Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
No.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
No.
Miller.
No.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith.
No.
Stevens.
No.
Touche.
No.
Tunney.
No.
Ward.
Resolution 211 fails.
What's the vote? What was the vote? What's the vote?
What was the vote?
19 no, 18 yes. Resolution number 212, please.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget, contingent account adjustment to create learning opportunities for disabled children.
Mr. Mender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just rise to provide a little information on this. I'm not a sponsor of it, but I have heard that this money is going to be spent in order to replace learning equipment as well as books that were lost in the fire for the Center for the Disabled. Seems like a very worthwhile purpose. Clearly falls under the concept of a contingency. Thank you.
Mr. Miles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have many organizations throughout this county that could use these funds. This is what the contingency account is used for. It's not, we've never done that. There's many organizations. American Cancer Society, could use money. American Heart Association could do it. There's, goes on and on and on. There's no question, these are all great organizations. They do a wonderful job. But this isn't what the money should be spent for. And we could all come up with 10 different ways to spend the money in the contingency account. We come up with individual items that we do with ourselves, but it just isn't the proper way to spend a taxpayer's money, especially when we don't know what's going to happen with the budget for next year, what's coming down, and what the additional expenses are getting from the state. So, for that, Mr. Chairman, I'm not.
Mr. Bergdorf.
I asked our troops to give me a copy of it, and as usual, I've misplaced something for an extended period of time. But I had in my hand earlier today a resolution that we did, I think it might have been 2016 or 2017, when you were chair of Audit and Finance. And there was a different set of leadership here. And Ms. McKnight and the minority community came to us and asked for an emergency appropriation for $50,000 for Trinity Alliance. And we, as a body, took money under your leadership of Audit and Finance, and with virtually 32 members in support, we deemed that an important expenditure to make. So please don't say that we have never done this before, that we haven't spent money for not-for-profits who have an exemplary program, because we have. And I, for one, voted for that, as did, I think it passed 32 to 5. I wish I had that piece of paper in front of me. But so we do this. So let's keep an open mind when we think about these things. I, for one, am going to support a resolution for the Center for the Disabled for handicapped youth across the county. And I would hope that those of us who understand that this contingency was there for this purpose, it was to put money back into the community, would consider that with an open mind, as we have done in previous instances. Thank you very much.
Miles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your memory is better than mine. I will take you for your word, even though you don't have the documents to back it up.
I'll get it for you, Gary.
I come forward with an organization that has traditionally been budgeted in Albany County's budget that we supported year to year. And I don't know the particulars about why we did that, but I'm sure it was left out of the budget, and it wasn't a new item that's being added to the budget, specifically for some members who are looking to do better things with the taxpayers' money that I. And so I would just say, I yield to you, Mr. Bergdorf, on your knowledge of this, but I can assure you that these programs that Mr. Knight had brought forward before were programs that were funded before within the county budget. Thank you.
Mr. Clay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to get into all of this contingency fund arguments and who did what, who did something last year. But the fact of it is, we're talking about disabled children. We ought not make it a political. These are disabled children, as I understand it. And we ought to be supportive of them. I mean, can you look at some of the films that I looked at, disabled children, and vote no? It really doesn't make any sense to me on the, based on some of the things that we have voted to approve. So, this amount of money to help disabled children, I'm 100% in favor of it. And I encourage my colleagues to vote in favor of it as well.
Mr. Comesso?
Yes, first of all, in regards to children, as I recall, during the budget process, it was discussed and it was agreed that it would go in the budget. Come to find out, a few months later, it was never put in the budget, it was an oversight. So, I do not see anything wrong with using contingency funds on an item like that. In regards to all of these that pertain to the contingency fund, there are some good items to look at. We are so close to the budget process. We're a few months away. Let's handle them at the budget process. Department heads will come before us. The county executive will come before us. And I'm certain that most of these at that time will get through the budget process. But taking several $100,000 of contingency funds at this time, I don't think it's worth it. And these are certain, every one of them really deserves a good hard look at it, but there's a time and a place for it. And that's the budget process, because we don't know what's coming. We have no idea. Thank you.
Long roll call on resolution number 212, please.
Beston.
No.
Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Chapman. Clay.
Yes.
Comiso. Kraus.
No.
Cunningham. Dawson.
Yes.
Demowitz.
No.
Ethier.
Yes.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Frenier.
Yes.
Grimm.
Yes.
Higgins. Hogan.
No.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Raymond Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Murriello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
No.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Touche.
No.
Tunny.
No.
Ward.
Yes.
Resolution 212 passes. 28 yes, 9 no. Resolution number 213, please.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget, contingent account adjustment for housing, rehabilitation, and blight prevention.
Mr. Mr. Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I want to talk a little bit about why I'm in support of this resolution. So steps away from where we sit right now, neighborhoods filled with vacant buildings, red X's. These vacant buildings aren't just an issue of appearance, as you might think. They're a public safety hazard, leading to crimes, fires, exposure to toxic building materials when they continue to be neglected and they're demolished. They demoralize neighborhoods. People lose pride and hope in their community. Continued neglect also leads to demolitions often paid for by county taxpayers, and rehabilitation generates new tax revenue for the county, municipalities, school districts. Another issue that often isn't spoken about is how vacant buildings devalue the neighborhoods. I speak with families who have lived in own homes for years, often generations in the South End, and have lost value in their homes. This has happened while families who purchased homes in many suburban communities experience exponential growth in property values, generating wealth that they can pass on to their children or use for a comfortable retirement. This is an inequity that is largely based on race. Black neighborhoods have faced disinvestment and neglect, as white neighborhoods have prospered. White people largely fled cities and purchased homes in suburbs, leading to growth of many suburban communities in the county. These communities prospered as many black communities faced disinvestment, deteriorated, businesses left, wealth left. It was difficult for black families to achieve this American dream that many white families were able to pursue, because if they could afford to move to the suburbs, in many cases discriminatory laws and practices barred them from purchasing homes there. So, while black families were barred from purchasing homes in the suburbs, if black families wanted to take ownership in their communities and purchase property, there were often, in communities like the South End, Arbor Hill, West Hill, they were often barred through federal policies such as redlining, which directed banks to deny mortgages to people in certain neighborhoods where the majority of residents are black. The reason I'm telling this story is because I want to show that the disinvestment and the neglect that the abandoned buildings that many communities in the county face did not happen by accident, happened by discriminatory policies. And also, that the blight that we see in communities is directly connected to the prosperity that we see in other parts of the county. And I think it's great that Albany County has experienced such strong growth over the years, and many suburban communities have prospered. This isn't a message against that, against suburban growth. I grew up in a suburb. I think they're great places to live, and I hope that we continue to see continued growth throughout all the communities in the county. But I also think we must recognize the injustice here, that while many communities have grown and prospered, many urban communities have declined. It's time that we do something to rectify this inequity, and doing so requires committing resources. We can no longer just give the land bank what it needs to barely scrape by. We need to fully fund the land bank, giving it the resources it needs to pump life back into communities. As a county that has prospered and created so much wealth, while many neighborhoods have crumbled and been neglected, it's our obligation to invest in these neighborhoods. We know that disinvestment isn't the only issue facing these neighborhoods, and we also know that rebuilding communities takes more than just funding. And I'd say as the oversight body of the Albany County Land Bank, through we appoint the board of directors, I'd say we need to take this one step further. We need to work with the land bank to ensure that they're committed to the demands of the community. Demands that many of us hear, that the land bank needs to help people live in the community, purchase homes, needs to help people build wealth from within. We also must recognize that every initiative takes resources, and the land bank is on a tight budget. So I will be voting in favor of this resolution. I urge everyone to join me in taking a concrete step to end blight that has perpetuated inequities in this county. And I want to remind everyone about the 11 speakers who came a couple months ago to speak in favor of this resolution. This is significant, and I've sat through quite a few budget hearings where we didn't have a single speaker come and speak. I think that shows how important this is to the people of Albany County. And we have a unique opportunity here too, I want to add, to double the commitment to the land bank. Because while we are proposing giving $250,000 to the land bank, the Community Loan Fund has agreed to match that with another $250,000. So we developed this tool, the Albany County Land Bank, with the potential to address one of the greatest issues facing the county. And I'd say that we need to ensure that we can provide it with the resources that it needs to really be successful. So please join me in supporting this resolution. Thank you.
On roll call on resolution
Beston.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you. I rise in strong opposition to this line item. First of all, the Albany taxpayers, they pay a lot of county property tax, and we generate a ton of sales tax. And a good chunk of that goes to the city of Albany. So we are doing our part for the city of Albany. I want Albany to thrive. But don't believe for a minute that Gilliland and other suburbs are not doing their part for the city of Albany. We've talked a lot about the budget process. All these items should have been in the budget process, there's no doubt. But this was in the budget process. We had 8 budget hearings. We had a number of other finance committee meetings. We debated how much money the land bank was going to get. Mr. Feeney led the charge to come to some kind of agreement. We fought over this, and we agreed that $250,000 was the right amount. So now, instead of giving equal treatment to all the people that wanted a piece of that $712 million budget, now we're saying this line item requires special treatment. It doesn't. It should be submitted in the budget, and we came to an agreement with $250,000 was the right number. The land bank just got a $2 million grant from the State Attorney General's office. All right, they have money to work. By the way, this idea that the land bank is trying to revitalize property, I'm for it. We're all for it. We want Albany to do better. The question is equity and fairness and special treatment versus fair treatment. They got a $2 million grant. They got $350,000 of it already early in this quarter. So they have money to do the kind of job that we hope they're all going to do. And we agreed during the budget that $250,000 was the right number. Again, the contingency account. This doesn't strike me as an emergency, as a contingency account issue. I agree with much of what Mr. Romano had said. I voted for the previous item because it was a fire. Kids were in a tough spot. That maybe is a little more in line of what a contingency is. When we started the land bank, we agreed that it would be self-sustaining. So now we're hearing that maybe it isn't so self-sustaining, that we gave them a good chunk of money last year. They want 250 grand more. They're getting grants from the state. They should be very proactive in getting grant money. By the way, this idea that you put 250 gets matched, there are many opportunities for matching opportunities. So the idea that we lose our big matching opportunity here is just not true. There's going to be other opportunities. And I do recognize that one of the criterion that they use in giving money is what is the county commitment. Well, the county commitment in Albany is very strong. We want the land bank to thrive. We also want to be sensible with taxpayer money. And that's why I'm urging all of you to vote against this line item. Thank you.
Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few things on this resolution. One, just a little clarification. This is a dollar-for-dollar matching grant for $250,000. That, quite frankly, means nothing to see that. To me, personally, I feel that's an excellent use of county taxpayer dollars here, given the opportunity that we have. As far as the money that the land bank has been receiving from the State Attorney General, that money has very specific earmarked purposes that it must and can be used for. This money, the grant and the match, would have a much broader capability, give the land bank capability for use. I just want to know too, the land bank and the work it does is not limited to the city of Albany. Quite frankly, most of the work that they do on the bigger ticket items is in other municipalities throughout the county. Hose in particular, hill towns, they've done a tremendous amount of work in hill towns. So it's not just the city of Albany that gets the benefits of the land bank, but it's really a county-wide program. And I think that's just something that really bears importance. As far as the funding in the budget, I'd like to remind some of the members who were here when it was funded. We used to fund the land bank at $500,000 for several years, and then it was magically cut down to $250,000 somewhere down the road over the last several years. So what this is attempting to do is restore the funding stream as it was initially contemplated by the legislature when we created the land bank. This whole idea about why the cut happened several years ago, I don't know, that was a part of the budget process. What we're trying to do here is make up for it now and really get a bonus for this dollar-for-dollar match, which quite frankly, in this day and age, is quite remarkable. So I'll be voting yes.
Mr. Bergdorf.
May come as a surprise, but sometimes I don't think like my colleague, Mr. Grimm.
Tell me about it.
I look at the land bank, and there are not a lot of projects in the town of Albany. But I believe that Albany's health is as important to Albany County as everybody's health in Albany County. And so to the extent that this will help put properties back to use, back on the tax rolls, be productive, pay county taxes over time, that's all fantastic. I also think that if you have an opportunity for a one-to-one grant today, let me get this straight. We put up $250, someone matches it, so we get $500,000. That seems like a pretty good idea to me. The county executive's gonna send us a budget proposal in September, October, whatever the time frame is. If at that point in time, he does not feel that additional money is needed for the land bank, or maybe it's only $125,000, which would still be a net increase for the year, who knows what the future has. But to give up the opportunity to have $500,000 today, that I sort of have a problem with. This is leveraging, this is smart money spent, and that's why I'm going to support it, because it's good for the whole county.
Ms. Lockhart?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would like to remind this body, when we first agreed to have a land bank and participate with the land bank, part of the sale to this body was that it was not going to cost the county taxpayers a cent. No money from this body was going to the land bank. Thank you. We spent a lot since then.
Mr. Manning?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By and large, I agree with my colleague, Mr. Verdorf, about getting the $250,000. But we went through an extensive budget process and made a determination of how much money that the county wanted to allocate to the land bank. And if you will also recall, the county was supposed to get back a certain amount of dollars from the land bank based upon sales and returns and taxes on the money. Exactly. But we decided at that point in time to cut it in half what we would normally get. The other part, the land bank was able to keep. So we actually spent, or gave the land bank more than we had intended in the budget. Now I appreciate, if you got $250,000 sitting out there, and that's a one-for-one match, that's a great deal. And we should look at those opportunities. But we shouldn't do that to the detriment of the taxpayer. If the folks who are supporting this would want to provide an amendment that says, we'll give you $250,000 now, but when we come to the budget process in 2020, whatever we have decided to give to you, we're going to reduce it for that $250. You have an opportunity now to get an extra $250, but we shouldn't lose sight of that when we budget this whole process. So, as Ms. Lockhart mentioned, this was not supposed to cost the taxpayers a nickel. We have spent, in support of the land bank, millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money. It's for a good cause. I don't begrudge them that. But the only reason we're talking about this $250 now is because somebody thought there's a pot of gold out there, $700,000 or $750 in the contingency fund, and we want to get our share of it. It's not based upon a specific need, it's just a general, that sounds like a good number. And the only reason we're talking about it again is because there's a pot of gold out there that we want to take part in. That's not the process. We spend time going through all these numbers during the budget process. We ask questions, we talk to the people in the land bank, and we come up with what is reasonable. I don't think we should be put in a position of having to change that number just because there is some available dollars out there that they want to take advantage of. Thank you.
Mr. Dawson?
The budget being invoked, the taxpayers' concerns being raised. Looking back at the budget this past year, let's not forget that we had a $3 million tax cut on the table for the taxpayers. That money, this chamber decided not to spend, giving it back to the taxpayers. But guess what? That $3 million is still there. It came through, just as we projected. Also, in the current year, we now have $3 million in sales tax that we weren't anticipating. And another $1 million from the Times Union Center. Those are just the big numbers. Guess what? That's $7 million in revenues that we weren't using. There's nothing in this contingent account. It's not a contingency account. It's a contingent account that says it has to be used for emergencies. So if you want to revisit what our decisions were earlier this year, or at the end of last year, we're perfectly within our rights to do so. And know this, we had $7 million that we can use toward that. And if it's a $250,000 that's matched for the land bank, that's your call. But don't start talking about the budget, we agreed to this, and the taxpayers that, okay? Thank you.
Mr. Miles?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to remind the Chair of the Finance Committee that the $1 million for the News Center, it still costs the taxpayers of Albany County $2 million in debt service, almost $2.5 million in debt service. So that's not actually true.
Correct, we had $1 million that weren't anticipated to go toward that.
And that $2 million that you're talking about, that's cut out of the budget, was going to hurt the most needy, the most poor of Albany County.
Mr. Chairman.
I have the floor.
Yes, I realize.
Which is why this body rejected it. But more importantly, the reason why I got to speak, this land bank, and Chris could attest to this, it's all came about with the Attorney General. That money's going to run out this year, next year. So the money that we're getting now from the state, it's not going to be there. Next year and the year after, that land bank is going to have to rely more and more on Albany County, or sell more and more properties, and flip more and more properties, or they're not going to be here. They're not going to exist. Because the millions of dollars are going to dry up here on the hill in the AG's office. That's all going to be gone. It's going to be done. So I'd just like to remind you of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dawson?
Yeah, the money that Mr. Demolowitz is talking about actually did come through because it wasn't spent. We didn't need it, which is what the Finance Committee said. We weren't going to need it. Not that we were going to deprive anybody of it. We just weren't plain going to need it. And we didn't. So that's sitting there, $3 million we didn't use. So it has nothing to do with the decision that was made. We made a decision, not to cut it. That doesn't mean that the money's not there. It's still there. We went to the surplus. It's available.
My point is you cut the
Mr.
programs.
Reinhardt?
You cut the programs.
Mr.
No,
Reinhardt?
we didn't cut anything.
No,
We didn't cut anything.
Gentlemen,
I just want to support Paul Bergler's comments about I have a problem leaving money on the table when it's co-funding and it's there. It wasn't there in the budget process apparently, and it is there now. I think Charlie makes a good point about our fiscal situation. So I think I look at this kind of like a personal investment. I can invest $100 and know that I'm going to get $200 back. That sounds like a good investment to me. So I support this.
Mr. Higgins?
I just want to mention, just based on the resolution from 2014, we funded the land bank with $500,000 from the contingency account. The resolution was adopted by this body unanimously at the time. And the resolution specifically does not mention anything about self-sufficiency. So I don't know where that statement or that reference is coming from. That's not in the language of the resolution. That's was adopted by the body.
Mr. Kraus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you call the question now?
Here we go.
Thank you.
The question has been called. Second?
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One roll call on resolution number 213, please.
Beston.
No.
Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Chapman. Clay.
Yeah.
Camiso.
No.
Kraus.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Demolowitz.
No.
Ethier.
No.
Feeney.
No.
Fine.
Yes.
Frenier.
No.
Grimm.
No.
Higgins.
Aye.
Hogan.
No.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Mariello.
No.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
No.
Miller. O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith.
No.
Stevens.
No.
Touche.
No.
Tunney.
No.
Ward.
No. 1819, no.
Resolution 213 fails, 1918. Resolution 214, please.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget, contingent account adjustment to reduce recidivism by supporting jail transition program.
Long roll call, please.
Beston. Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Clay.
Yeah.
Camiso. Kraus.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Demolowitz.
No.
Ethier.
No.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Frenier.
Yes.
Grimm.
No.
Higgins. Hogan.
No.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Mariello.
No.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
No.
Miller.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith.
No.
Stevens.
No.
Touche.
No.
Tunney.
No.
Ward.
Yes. Resolution 214 passes, 23-14. Resolution 215, please.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget, contingent account adjustment to make the Albany County Rail Trail safer.
Ms. Cunningham?
Just a few words about this expenditure. This expenditure would fund a very important public safety integral piece that is needed and necessary for the rail trail. Right now, we have a wonderful resource in Albany County that is widely used by many thousands of county residents. Parts of the rail trail, if you haven't been on it, are very remote, they're very desolate, they're very hilly, it has soft shoulders. There's kind of cliff parts of it that are quite treacherous. It can be very desolate, it's beautiful, but if someone got hurt at certain parts of that rail trail, it could be a public safety and health disaster. We certainly need a broader public safety plan to address the needs of the rail trail. I think that this sort of special ambulance that would be able to get to individuals who are enjoying the rail trail in the unfortunate event that some health or safety problem occurs is a wise investment that will protect the health and safety of Albany County residents. It's not just residents of my community or the Bethlehem, New Scotland, or South End that are enjoying the rail trail. There's parking lots now where folks are driving in from all over Albany County, parking their cars and heading out to the hill towns to enjoy it. We now have little restaurants that are opening up along the rail trail. They're inviting people in to stop and enjoy them. We had a new restaurant that was out in the hill towns that moved to a location along the rail trail in Slingerlands to maximize all of the new traffic, the foot traffic that is occurring on the rail trail. All of this is really wonderful stuff. In the unfortunate event that somebody gets hurt, a compound fracture because they fall off their bike, or a collision because the rail trail is widely used, there's lots of runners and joggers and bikers on it, or somebody, God forbid, that has a heart attack at one of the remote access points. There is literally no easy way to get to them that doesn't involve some sort of reconfigured contraption that's going to haul someone out of there. Probably not in a timely way. I don't like to sound alarmist, but this is a ticking time bomb. Somebody's going to get hurt at some point. We have no reasonable mechanism to get in there quickly, efficiently, with life-saving equipment to get them out. This is something that the county sheriff's office supports. There is quite literally a housing, a place to house this right steps from the rail trail. The Bethlehem EMS, which has agreed to house this special ambulance that will be able to get into the rail trail, is quite literally steps away, and it's also in the middle of the rail trail, quite conveniently. So this makes perfect sense. I don't want to get into a debate about whether we should wait or not. We have the opportunity to use a very modest amount of money to put in plan a public safety plan for the rail trail, which we have invested in. This makes perfect sense. It's time to do this. We should get this done now. Enough said. Thank you. Please support this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Cunningham indicated that this is meant to be part of a comprehensive safety plan. The unfortunate part is there is no comprehensive safety plan. It needs to be developed. And while what we are talking about now is putting a very significant and costly piece of equipment into a plan that hasn't been developed, it seems to me to be a lot smarter to develop the plan, and then once the plan is developed, they'll decide whether this is the right piece of equipment or there's other pieces of equipment, or maybe there's multiple pieces of equipment that are necessary. But to put the cart before the horse seems to be just not prudent. Now, we have, as Ms. Cunningham points out, and probably accurately, at some point in time in the future, there'll be some type of accident. But up until this point, and we probably have 2-3 years on the rail trail, nobody is sure that we've had that situation. And if they've handled it. So I think it's prudent for this group, especially sitting here in July, 3 months away from budget, or 2 months away from when the budget will be presented, to have a complete safety plan presented as part of the budget process, and then this legislative body can determine whether they want to support that equipment purchase or do something else. Thank you.
Mr. Reiner?
I want to start off by saying I appreciate the concern of the body, members of the body, about the fiscal impact of this, the expense of this. I would like to put on the record, though, the fact that this is not just a piece of equipment that would serve my constituents in New Scotland and in Slingerlands and Bethlehem. It actually is an innovative piece of equipment that I think, in contrast to what Mr. Mendick said, it is a time to look at innovative equipment, understand its capabilities, and that should inform us as we develop the safety plan. So, having had a career dealing with new technology, you don't write plans for technology that you don't understand. You need to do research, and this is really a form of research. This is an opportunity for us to learn more about capabilities of this equipment and others, because I'm sure Mr. Kroll and others will be looking at other options as well. And I guess the last point I want to make is, all across the Capital District and the state, we are developing rail trail plans. The governor has an initiative to have a rail trail that goes from New York City to Buffalo. I've attended some of those meetings. I think other members probably have as well. Gilderland is putting in new rail trail efforts. It's happening all across the region. This is a tool that really can help us understand opportunities for enhanced safety across the rail trail system of the Capital District. This is not just a tool for Joanne and Bill and our constituents in Bethlehem and New Scotland. So I just want to make that clear, that there's an opportunity here for us to help develop some new technology, understand how it works, and it will enhance safety across this burgeoning recreational area, which is rail trails in the Capital District. Thank you.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a vote on this in the Finance Committee just prior to this meeting, and the question was asked, is there data, is there a history of medical events on the rail trail? And the answer was no. That's an indication that some further work needs to be done on this. Frankly, there's some, obviously there's some appealing prospects to this. Obviously, I think Ms. Cunningham has outlined them. But the reality is, this should be competing with all the other good projects that are in the budget. So I see no reason why we can't wait till the 2020 budget and let this contend with every other item, which, and many of them have a lot of merit, and to see and then vote then whether this one makes the cut or doesn't. Just a little bit on our fiscal situation. Many of you received a letter from our budget commissioner. He indicated there's some storm clouds on the horizon. This letter was sent in the last week.
He indicated that, but didn't show any numbers for us, unfortunately, even though we asked.
Well, he is the budget commissioner, and he said the criminal justice reform is, there's no given that that's going to be fully funded. Also raised the age remains a question in terms of the mandate. The sheriff said on the Finance Committee just recently, he's not doing business with the federal government anymore in terms of taking in refugees. We made millions of dollars on that last year, and that's simply not going to happen if circumstances remain the same. So we do have concerns that we need to be aware of, and that's all the more reason to take all the items at the budget process and say yes and no, because we do not have an infinite amount of money. We have $712 million to spend, and I know it's easy to say yes, but I think our role is to say yes and no. That's really our role as legislators, and I'm urging people to vote no on this agenda item. Thank you.
Long roll call on resolution number 215, please.
Beston. No. Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale.
No.
Chapman. Yes. Clay.
Yes.
Camiso.
Yes.
Kraus.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Domowitz.
No.
Ethier.
No.
Feeney.
No.
Fine.
Yes.
Frenier.
Yes.
Grimm.
No.
Higgins.
Aye.
Hogan.
No.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Mariello.
No.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
No.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
No.
Miller.
Yes.
I didn't hear you.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith. Smith.
Yes.
Stevens.
No.
Touche.
No.
Tunney.
No.
Ward.
Resolution number 217 passes, 20 yes, 17 no. Resolution number 220, please. As you were, resolution 215 passes, 20 yes, 17 no. Resolution number 217, please.
Amending the rules and regulations for Albany County employees regarding health insurance benefits for retirees.
Mr. Miles will be added to this. All those in favor? Mr. Mendick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that we would all like to give employees just as much as we possibly can. But the reality is that we have a limited amount of dollars to spend. Now, in committee, this was touted as it needs to be done before recruitment. You can't recruit people in when they have to work 20 years in order to get their lifetime health insurance. And as my colleague, Mr. Grimm, points out every time we talk about this, that is a governmental idea. In the private sector, there is no such thing as lifetime insurance. But what's important here are three things. First of all, the money that you spend on benefits is money that you can't spend on salaries. And if we are talking about being able to recruit people to jobs in Albany County, I would venture to guess that better salaries is going to get more people as employees than changing the lifetime health care from 20 years down to 15 years. Now, the other concept that they talk about was this would make us more comparable with other municipalities. Well, we talked about that, but no examples were given. We took a quick opportunity to take a look at some of the closer municipalities. For example, for Guilderland, in order to get lifetime insurance, you have to work 20 years. For Bethlehem, you have to work 20 years. In Greene County, after 20 years, you only get 50% paid. After 30 years, you only get 70% paid. So when you talk about comparability, these are hard numbers. This is something you can compare it to. And even when you look at the state and look at it in general terms, what we have seen every time that they have increased the number on the tier system, and I don't know if we're at 6 or 7 or 15, wherever we're at now, every time they reduce the benefits that are available because it's costly. Now let's talk about costs for a second. There's an interesting calculation that the county has to make every year, and that is the future cost of other post-employment benefits, of which lifetime health care is the primary contributor. In 2017, off the 2017 audited financial statements, that amount, and let me just take a sidestep here. What that is saying is that over the next 30 years, what is the county going to have to pay for that benefit? It's a 30-year period. In 2017, that amount was calculated as $553,793,107. Over $500 million, and that's not money that we're going to pay. That's the money that your children and your grandchildren are going to pay. And those are real numbers. It's interesting, if you look at 2014, and you compare that to 2017, the amount that it's gone up in that 3-year period is $152 million. It's a 37.8% increase, averaging about $50 million a year, or 12.6%, which roughly is about the cost of inflation on the healthcare system. So these are numbers that we have to take into consideration. Like I said, sure, we'd like to give everybody everything and make everybody happy, but we can't. We have a finite amount of money, and we need to spend it judiciously. It is not a recruitment issue. It is, we are at 20 years comparative to several of the municipalities that we surveyed. It is a big number that we have to worry about in the future. The time is not to kick that can down the road. The time is to address that issue right now. Thank you.
Mr. Mendy, you did a very good job.
Thank you, Mr. Bliss. I appreciate that.
But I just wanted to say one thing. You seem to only have 2 municipalities within Albany County. Would you tell us what else the report said in regards to comparison and what percentage?
Those were the only 3 that we were able to get a hold of who are willing to commit to numbers.
You bet your life, because the others are 10.
Which ones are they? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I'll be quiet. I don't want to interact. Sorry.
So, leaving that aside, there's many, many reasons why. And I hear time and time again that we can't attract people to some of these jobs. We've heard this in the Finance Committee. We've heard it in the Law Committee, I believe. It's been kicked around every which way. As a matter of fact, the paper this morning did a good job also saying that most people don't retire until probably the mid-70s. So there's going to be no big cost initially. There's going to be a cost. We know that. But also, we're going to be able to attract the proper people to some of these jobs. And every department head complains about that. So let's leave it at that. Let's move on and let everybody vote their conscience. I hear it every day in the halls, in the county building. You go to the courthouse and people come up to you. You have to do something on employees other than what we do. Don't forget, when people take government jobs, they take them because of some of the benefits. They're paid a low salary in most cases. It's not a big salary for somebody else to do. So I'll leave it at that. And we'll take a vote.
Mr. Bergdorf?
I want to get up and explain what I'm going to do, because one of the things I try to do is I try to be consistent. And I supported this proposal in committee because in my experience in government, we ran into this, and we, as a board at the Dormitory Authority, took action to change the vesting process. But I am left today with a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, because at Audit and Finance, we were all told that there was a questionnaire that had gone to the county executive, and the county executive's office was going to fill it out, and they were going to send it back, and it was going to be shared with us. Well, I'm a member of the Audit and Finance Committee. I didn't get it. I spoke to my 2 colleagues on the Audit and Finance Committee. They didn't get it. I took the initiative and went down and talked to the senior staff of the county executive and said, where is this coming from? And they assured me it wasn't coming from them, that it was not an administration proposal. So they told me they hadn't even reviewed the HR, or they were in the process of reviewing the HR commissioner's comments. So as a member of the Audit and Finance Committee who argued for this proposal, was given nothing, no backup. Well, one of the things I did find out, and it has some bearing here, is that we all know that every benefit that we confer on the exempt service will become a negotiating target for the classified service. We have 17 unions. They all have the 20-year rule. It's in all the collective bargaining agreements. Well, I'm told that now, especially even in the sheriff's department, they're going to be taking a bunch of dispatchers from the city of Albany, and they took dispatchers from Ravenna and Clemens, and these are people who may have served 22 years in the city of Albany. They're now going to be Albany County employees, and they're never going to reach 15. Not going to happen. They're not going to reach 20. They're not going to reach 15. So we have a bigger problem that we're not addressing. And once we make this decision, it becomes harder to address this question of portability of health care benefits in a correct manner. And I asked to be put on as a co-sponsor of your bill with the consortium to talk to different municipalities about portability and consistency, and I think that's the approach. But given the fact that certain common courtesies were not extended to certain members of the Audit and Finance Committee for information, either from whoever got the information and was going to share it, I hope it was a holiday foible, but it leaves me unprepared to have the information to vote on this. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no. But I hope that in the future, we take a real look at dealing with this holistically, so it's not just a friend in the hall in the county office building, but it gets down to people that are now coming in from other municipalities, from Ravenna, from Greene County, from the city of Albany, who are never going to have health insurance unless we do something, unless there's a collective agreement between us and their municipalities. That's the solution, not dropping it down to 15 years, because that's a bad thing. So anyway, that's why I'm going to vote no.
Mr. Mollis?
I think this is a lot more of a tool for us to hire the brightest and best. We had before us, we didn't even get to it yet, we're still in coal business. As we get to current business, we have a couple of resolutions to hire outside, to go outside Albany County, because we can't get people to come to work that live in Albany County. Well, this will be another tool for us to hire people from Albany County. There'll be another incentive for them to come and work for Albany County, so we don't have to go out of county to hire these people. And that's the way I look at it. So it's a positive thing for the county. Who didn't tell who what, where it came from, it really doesn't matter to me. It's a good idea. A good idea is a good idea where it came from. And for that reason, I can support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fuzzy math. No one could really put a number on it. There's supposed to be a strong fiscal impact statement on this, and the math is pretty fuzzy. We got a 5-page handout because we really can't be sure because we don't know who's retiring, that kind of thing. So I've been dogging the county controller for 2 weeks to get some information. I had a nice chat just after the finance committee tonight. This will cost the county millions of dollars a year. Okay, millions of dollars a year, and it's a recurring cost. I want our members to understand this is a big ticket item. And given that the budget is finite, this money is going to have to come from somewhere else. Where it's going to, who knows where that money is going to be? It may come from Ms. Cunningham's Rail Trail ambulance. That money is going to have to come somewhere else. This is, yes, it's great to be able to do a little bit more for our employees, but let's face it, governments everywhere have been working very hard to manage their health care costs. That's been one of the biggest challenges. Our own county government just passed a collective bargaining agreement that said new employees would have to pay a higher percentage of their health care. Why? Because health care costs so much. A health plan is $25,000 a year. It's expensive. Okay, health care is an important benefit, but we have to be sensible, we have to be prudent, and let's understand what we're doing here. This is an encumbrance of millions of dollars a year, year after year, and that will have a deleterious effect on other spending items that many of you feel strongly about. This is a big ticket item, so do that as you vote. If you vote yes, I mean, that's your thing, but do so in mind. This is a big ticket item, and we're going to be encumbered by this for years ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Ward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, Mr. Grimm, you mentioned millions of dollars a year. How can you quantify those numbers?
That's what he told me it would cost.
Who told you that?
Mike Connors told me tonight.
Okay. Did he quantify the numbers?
Well, yeah, he's got, of course he's got a quantification. You know, how would you get it? Well, he's saying it's a rough estimate because there is some, it's not easy to be precise about it, but there's no doubt this will cost millions of dollars a year. No doubt.
Because the numbers I saw were a little bit, it's going to cost some money. Maybe about $500,000, but it isn't millions.
Where did you get the $500,000?
We're not going to quantify it here this evening.
I can quantify it if you wish.
Well, he's going to try to quantify it, and he's going to try to quantify it.
Okay, numbers from HR here.
Okay.
And I'll take the highest number of retirees. We're in 2013. Take 26 retirees, and we'll go 20,000 only because most of the people that retire are two-person, not family health insurance. So we'll go with average about 20,000 a year. That's $520,000. That's the highest year for retirees, 2013. So it is a million. It is costly, yes.
My source is the county controller, Mr. Ward.
I'm just going by
your
numbers right off from HR right here.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. I think we're done. Long roll call on resolution number 217, please. Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Briefly, I sit audit and finance, and I specifically did request some of this information from HR. I was told I'd get it before the meeting. I was not provided with whatever this information that everybody is referencing. I'd be very interested in seeing what it is and vote on this. You spend, some people have it, others don't have it. When I sit on this committee, it's pretty disturbing to me. So, absent that, what do you know?
Mr. Mariello.
Mr. Chairman, I was going to voice the same question. I haven't seen any of this documentation as well. So obviously, yes, that's all I'm going to start with last.
Long roll call on resolution number 217, please.
Beston.
In favor.
Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
No.
Kale.
Yes.
Chapman. Yes. Clay.
Yes.
Camiso.
Yes.
Kraus.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
No.
Demolowitz.
Yes.
Ethier.
Yes.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Frenier.
Yes.
Grimm.
No.
Higgins.
No.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Hogan.
No.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Muriello.
No.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
No.
Miller.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
No.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stevens.
No.
Touche.
Yes.
Tunney.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Resolution number 217 passes. Resolution number 220, please. 26 to 11. I don't need to hear the count for every one of them, but if you want to know, you can ask.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget. Contingent account adjustment to keep Albany County seniors on the move. I'm sorry. Public hearing on proposed local law number F for 2019.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution number 220 passes. Resolution number 221, please.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget, contingent account adjustment to keep Albany County seniors on the move.
Mr. Bergdorf.
Mr. Chairman, as we're last, hopefully we're not least. Tonight, we've supported some proposals, some have passed, and some haven't. But what the ones that have passed have in common is they protect frail constituencies. And I don't know, I know Diane Lasvita got up and explained what the senior program does. They provide about 22,500 rides for shut-in and infirm seniors and seniors without cars. They do it in Colony, they do it in Albany, they do it in Altamont, they do it in Cohoes, they do it in Delmar, they do it in Glenmont, they do it in Guilderland, they do it in Slingerlands, they do it in Voorheesville, they do it in Waterford, and they do it in Waterville. And they do it so that people can maintain their home ownership, and seniors who no longer have automobiles can get rides to doctors and oncologists and movie theaters and grocery shopping, etc. So what I'm asking people to do here tonight is to support another frail population. It's no secret that 38% of Albany County seniors live in the town of Colony. It's a place where people retire to. It's where people come from Cohoes and Waterville and Green Island and Albany. And we service, county seniors, they're not for profit. They service all of them. The other thing is, by the other grant sizes, this one is modest. It's $50,000. What do you get for $50,000? They'll be able to buy a $30,000 van, and they will be able to leverage with the $20,000 another $80,000 in transportation grant money, so that $50,000 equals $130,000 worth of money. This is a one-time ask. It's not a recurring thing. It's not something that I would bring back to you again, but their fleet is aged. It's dilapidated. I shouldn't say that. It's not dilapidated. It's well depreciated, I guess would be a more polite politic term. But they need help. So we just spent $500,000 the first year on 26 retirees. We spent $170,000 at the jail for a population that people said was fragile and needed help. We're spending money across this county for programs, and I guess I'm asking you, these aren't my seniors, they're all of our seniors. And, you know, people describe this, you know, this grant program as pork. Well, I don't consider this pork. I don't consider my seniors pigs. They're people who need help. And I'm asking everyone here tonight for their help. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to add a few remarks to what Mr. Bergdorf said. There are time constraints on this $50,000, and I'm not sure when the funding, matching funding would be up, but I senior elder statesman said in here, Mr. Mendick, if there's matching funding, it's a quote, great deal. And this is a great deal. I would also like to mention, as Mr. Bergdorf said, there are 22,500 rides done by the county senior services. And there is an attachment, I think it's on your desk. 8,300 rides involve the city of Albany, 800 city of Cohoes, 382 for the city of Waterloo. And that's just an example. You can look at the sheet for yourself. So I'm voting in favor of this resolution, and I would ask you to join me. Thank you.
Mr. Gideon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise because this is a worthy cause. The county's done an awful lot of good in our community. I agree with my two colleagues. I think we should unanimously support this one. And I ask for everybody's support. The only thing I don't agree on, what my colleague said, everybody don't retire at Colony, they retire at the Hose.
I yield to the other statesman.
I'd like to make clarification from the sponsor. On those 8,000 rides in Albany. So you're saying the town of Colony picked up 8,000 people in the city of Albany and brought in to their doctors and shopping and stuff? Is that what you're saying?
I think that probably that is a mixture of Albany zip codes, would be my guess.
Because I'm not aware that
Well,
Albany
we
Senior
have-
Services
we
is
have-
picking up in the city of Albany.
Actually,
They do.
Actually, they do.
I'd like to see that before I make a vote like that, as yourself. We spoke earlier without the information that you can't vote on something without having the proper information. I find that perfectly legal. And so, for that reason, I'm not supporting it. Certainly a wonderful cause. All these senior services, do you think your bands are bad? Look at ours, in the city of Albany. We don't have them. What if they don't have any? You know, so, I mean, commonly, you know, I just think it's a great cause, but it's not the place to be spending money, taxpayers' money.
Could we ask for a clarification?
Mr. Dawson?
Yeah, I believe that we use a contingent account from like 2001 to buy buses for some of these senior services around the county, as well as funded libraries.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bergdorf.
Could we ask for a clarification from the executive director?
No, we're not doing that tonight.
Okay.
Long roll call on resolution number 221, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Lockhart?
I just have to take exception to something that my colleague said about the poor. That's fine, I'm going for it, but nobody in this body considers seniors pigs. They just don't. They consider them very treasured people in our community, and I don't appreciate that.
Long roll call, please.
Beston.
In favor.
Bullock.
Yes.
Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Chapman. Clay. Camiso. Kraus.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Demolowitz.
No.
Ethier.
Yes.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Frenier.
Yes.
Grimm.
Yes.
Higgins. Hogan.
Yes.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
No.
Murriello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
No.
McLean Lane.
No.
Mendick.
Yes.
Miller. O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
Touche.
Yes.
Tully.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Resolution number 221 passes, 32 yes, 5 no. First item under current business, 255, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement with JPS Strategies United Group of Companies, Gervin and Filazzo, and FPI Mechanical regarding Corporate Suite 16 at the Times Union Center.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 255 passes. Number 256, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement with Bank of America regarding Corporate Suite number 12 at the Times Union Center.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 256 passes. Number 257, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement with Blue Shield of Northeastern New York regarding Corporate Suite number 20 at the Times Union Center.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Number 257 passes. Number 258, please.
Authorizing an agreement with New York Power Authority to proceed with preliminary steps regarding photovoltaic systems in Albany County.
I'd like to note Mr. Stevens and Mr. Joyce's abstentions. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 258 passes with 2 abstentions. Number 259, please.
Authorizing an agreement with New York Power Authority regarding design and construction plans for the street light installation project.
I'd like to note the abstentions of Mr. Joyce and Mr. Stevens. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 259 passes with 2 abstentions. 260, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Cecil Singh Electric regarding traffic light installation on Albany Shaker Road.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 260 passes. For 261, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Reifenberg Contracting Corp. regarding the portable water and sanitary waste water removal project at Lawson Lake.
Mr. O'Brien. Abstain. Mr. O'Brien's abstention. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 261 passes. 262, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Cornell Cooperative Extension regarding the Home Energy Assistance Program.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 262 passes. 263, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Hope House regarding residential treatment services to women with children.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 263 passes. 264, please.
Amending resolution number 138 for 2019 regarding the provision of family shelter services.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 264 passes. 265, please.
Authorizing a renewal of an agreement with Myers and Stafford for auditing services regarding Medicaid fraud, waste, and abuse.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 265 passes. 266, please.
Authorizing agreements regarding the Healthy Families Home Visiting Program and amending the 2019 Department for Children, Youth, and Families budget.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 266 passes. 267, please.
Authorizing agreements regarding the 2019 Summer Youth Employment Program and amending the 2019 Department for Children, Youth, and Families budget.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 267 passes. 268, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services regarding the Upstate Model Family Representation Office grant.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 268 passes. 269, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application and an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the Gun Involved Violence Elimination Initiative grant, amending the 2019 Probation Department budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 269 passes. 270, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services regarding the Cybersecurity Grant Program.
To note my abstention. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 270 passes. 271, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New York State Canal Corporation regarding reimbursement for Marine Patrol services.
Mr. Frenier?
Abstain, please.
To note Mr. Frenier's abstention. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 271 passes with 1 abstention. 272, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services regarding the Technical Rescue and Urban Search and Rescue Grant Program.
No abstention. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 272 passes, one abstention. 273, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance regarding reimbursement for the incarceration of criminal aliens.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 273 passes. 274, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services Office in Operable and Emergency Communications regarding the Public Safety Answering Points Operations Grant Application.
No abstention. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 274 passes, one abstention. 275, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services regarding the 2019 Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant.
No abstention. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 275 passes, one abstention. Number 276, please.
Authorizing the Albany County Sheriff to consider out-of-county applicants for the position of full-time and part-time paramedics and full-time, part-time emergency medical technicians for the county's advanced life support and EMT programs.
All those in favor? Opposed? 276 passes. Or 277, please.
Authorizing the Department of Residential Health Care Facilities to consider out-of-county applicants for the positions of registered nurse, licensed practical nurse, and certified nursing assistant.
All those in favor? Opposed? 277 passes. Or 278, please.
Authorize an agreement with Megit Training Systems regarding the purchase of a mobile range trailer and amending the 2019 Sheriff's Office budget.
All those in favor? Opposed? 278 passes. Or 279, please.
Authorizing the Albany County Sheriff to create 2 deputy sheriff positions, amending the 2019 Sheriff's Office budget.
All those in favor? Opposed? 279 passes. Number 280, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the United States Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance regarding reimbursement for incarceration of criminal aliens, and amending the 2019 Sheriff's Office budget.
All those in favor? Opposed? 280 passes. Number 281, please.
Authorizing the purchase of real property located at 510 Albany Shaker Road in the town of Colony regarding the installation of a traffic signal.
All those in favor? Opposed? 281 passes. Or 282, please.
Amending the 2019 Albany County budget.
Long roll call.
Beston. Bullock. Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale. Chapman. Clay. Camiso. Kraus. Cunningham. Dawson. Demolowitz. Ethier. Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Vernier.
Yes.
Grimm.
Yes.
Higgins. Hogan.
Yes.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Lakakis. Lockhart.
Yes.
Muriello.
Yes.
Mayo. McKnight.
Yes.
McLean Lane.
Yes.
Mendick.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Klosky. Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Stevens. Stevens. Touche.
Yes.
Tani.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
What was the vote?
Resolution, I'm getting to it.
Okay.
Give me some time.
All right, take your time, Mr. Chairman.
Resolution 282 passes 35-1. For those of you paying attention at home, that was an expenditure out of our contingent fund. Not a lot of debate on that one. Resolution 283, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Horan, Martello, and Marone regarding ongoing accounting and consulting services at the Albany County Nursing Home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 283 passes. 284, please.
Authorizing an agreement with TC Equipment regarding the purchase of furniture for the Albany County Nursing Home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 284 passes. Number 285, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Standard Commercial Interiors regarding the purchase, storing, and installation of office furniture at the Albany County Nursing Home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 285 passes. Number 286, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Standard Commercial Interiors regarding the purchase, storing, and installation of residential furniture at the Albany County Nursing Home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 286 passes. Number 287, please.
Authorizing the purchase of real property located at 81 Orange Street in the city of Albany regarding county snow removal services.
All those in favor? Opposed? 287 passes. 288, please.
Authorizing the conveyance of parcels of real property located at 215 Cimarron Avenue, 219 Cimarron Avenue, and 221 Cimarron Avenue in the city of Albany.
All those in favor? Opposed? 288 passes. 289, please.
Rescinding the authorization to convey real property pursuant to resolution number 250 for 2019 and authorizing the conveyance of 54 Bridge Street and the property known as Bridge Street in the town of Bethlehem.
All those in favor? Opposed? 289 passes. 290, please.
Authorizing the release of the right of reacquisition of title to 10 Osborne Street in the city of Albany.
All those in favor? Opposed? 290 passes. For 291, please.
Authorizing the cancellation and chargeback of unenforceable delinquent real property tax liens on 344 South Pearl Street and 89 North Swan Street in the city of Albany.
All those in favor? Opposed? 291 passes. For 292, please.
Authorizing a correction of the tax roll for the cities of Albany and Waterloo and the towns of Bern, Queens, Colony, and Rensselaerville.
All those in favor? Opposed? 292 passes. Number 293, please.
Authorizing the distribution of mortgage taxes for the period October 1, 2018 through March 31, 2019.
All those in favor? Opposed? 293 passes. 294, please.
Amending resolution number 248 for 2019 regarding the conveyance of real property at 543 North Pearl Street in the city of Albany.
All those in favor? Opposed? 294 passes. For 295, please.
Public hearing on the proposed Albany County Capital Program for 2020 through 2024.
All those in favor? Opposed? 295 passes. Number 296, please.
Adopting the proposed modifications to Albany County Agricultural District numbers 1, 2, and 3.
All those in favor? Opposed? 296 passes. Number 297, please.
Amending resolution number 68 for 2019 regarding ancillary laundry services for eligible individuals and expanded in-home services to the elderly program.
All those in favor? Opposed? 297 passes. Number 298, please.
Appointment of an alternate member to the Stormwater Coalition of Albany County.
All those in favor? Opposed? 298 passes. Number 299, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number C for 2019, a local law of the County of Albany amending and updating local law number 2 for 2011 requiring item pricing by retail stores in the County of Albany.
Please send that to Law and Audit and Finance, please. 300, please.
Amending the Albany County County Legislature's Rules of Order regarding the fiscal impact statement.
Send that to the law committee. Local law M.
A local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending Section 206 of the Albany County Charter and Local Law Number 8 for 1993, as subsequently amended for the purpose of restructuring the legislature by reducing the number of legislators.
Ms. McLean-Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just requesting I be added as a sponsor.
Okay.
Can you add me too, please?
Please raise your hand. You'll be added as co-sponsor.
I'm the sponsor.
You are, sorry.
Mr. Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of this local law. What I'm trying to do with this is sort of split the baby between the policy recommendations proposals that came out of the Charter Revision Commission several years ago that made a slew of different recommendations on how Albany can modernize and update its charter. As part of that report, the commissioner recommended that the legislature restructure to 25 members. That did not seem palatable at the time to the vast majority of my colleagues in the body previously. We had another resolution of law sponsored by Mr. Kraus, which would have, I think, started with 29 and brought it up, started with 32 and then dropped to 29 after 10 years. So what I'm trying to do here is really split the number between what the commission is wanting and what other members have introduced with different bills. I think 29 is a reasonable number. I think now more than ever this is the opportunity to do it, given the fact that we have just passed a comprehensive redistricting proposal. We draw for the first time in this county's history our legislative lines in a fair manner. And I don't think the number is out of whack. What we're really talking about here is increasing the size of our districts by approximately 2,758 individuals, residents, to bring the size of every district up to approximately 10,500 residents. This is not earth-shattering to me. This is not crazy. Logic, it's not a huge district by any means for individuals to run it. We have the largest legislature in history. By reducing the size, we'll save money to the county taxpayer on fringe, on benefits, on salary, money that will go back to them as part of our budget process. I think that's an important component. I don't think that really there's a downside. And so that's why I advocated for it. I'm proud to pick up where the Charter Revision Commission left off, and I hope this passes and sends this legislation, this local law to the voters of this county, so they can have a say on it in November. That's what this would do. It would send this question to the full countywide referendum to allow individual residents to make this decision for themselves. So I'm probably voting yes, and I hope the majority of my colleagues are going to do this.
I've yet to hear a rationale for the upside of downsizing. The simplistic analysis that we have the largest legislature in the state has to be looked at in context. What we're saying is at a time when we're going to have diminishing resources, we're going to take the most populous parts of the county with the neediest population, double the geographic area, double the size of the constituents. It's totally illogical. Like I said, I fail to hear any rationale of an upside. I don't care whether the League of Women Voters want it, or the Times Union want it, or Donald Trump wants it. It doesn't mean it makes sense. I don't understand the logic of, I keep saying, legislative districts 1 through 6 exist between a 4 to 6 mile square radius. There's no way you can move those populations. We would directly fall afoul of the Voting Rights Act, where we failed 3 consecutive decennial censuses, and we'd probably be in liability for even greater amount of non-compliance now. And areas like, I fail to see how an area like Green Island could survive doubling the geographic area. I don't know what sense it makes for Bethlehem to take this large geographic area to expand that. I fail to see the upside, and there's serious downsides, particularly for the most populous parts of the county in a declining economy. Makes no sense.
Mr. Ethier?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I've been here for quite a while, and this issue has been around. Mr. Higgins mentioned, as we're talking about it, but he failed to mention that every public hearing we had, the number of people come down here overwhelmingly said, don't downsize. And I take that more of a view for the public that comes down here, not the charter commission we might put up, and might be a little bit political for all the other connections like that. The public come down on numerous occasions, we have hearings, by no way should we reduce the size of our legislature. But why do you want to take 10 people out? We've had, in my opinion, good county government. Since I've been here, we had good executives, we had good chairmen. We've been functioning very well. Because some county wants less than us, that's their problem. But Albany County, we've been functioning very well with 39 legislators. We have our differences. There's no bottleneck. We get things passed. We get things through. A lot of times you guys come and say we're the leaders of this or the leaders of that. We're 39 people. And it's more access to the public out there, but they can get hold of us. It's only 2,000 more, but I know the people that I represent feel very comfortable with people like me. They can get hold of me at any given time. They ain't got to wait in line somewhere. They can grab me anytime they want. If you people don't have that in your districts, I don't know. But I want you to really look at your conscience. I want you to be honest with yourselves. How many doors did you knock on? Or how many people you've spoken to? We all represent 7,000 to 8,000 people. How many people actually said to you, reduce the size of the legislature? You know what says that? I find out the ones that want to get into the legislature. And they use it to try and get us all out of here. It's a political ploy by outsiders. Disregard the Times Union, whatever. Disregard the number 3 listeners. Listen to your constituents. How many of your constituents said to you, we should downsize? You guys are doing a terrible job. So I disagree with it. I don't believe in downsizing. I'm on the downside going down. You guys are no longer I'll be here. And we should keep this government going forward. When they made this charter, when they created this charter years ago, our forefathers, so to speak, seen the future of having 39. There was more representation of the people in this county. And why you want to deprive the people in this county of easier representation, I don't know. So I will sit down with that. I urge you to defeat this, do what the public wants. The public's been here numerous times and voted this down. And we can bypass it right now. What 10 want to leave? Do you want to stand up for 10 that wants to leave? We have 39. What 10 want to leave? Come on, you want to vote against it? What 10 wants to leave? Maybe we can do this. We have 4 or 5 leaving now. Why don't we just put nobody in place? Right, Bill? Ain't bad. Here's Bill. You guys. But the ones that want to leave, we just want to replace them. You all right? What 10 here wants to leave? So all kidding aside, this is a serious matter. Don't deprive the public of representation.
Well, Gil, I wasn't planning on leaving today. I am planning on leaving someday. I guess my point is this. As Chris said, we're not talking about doubling districts. We are talking about enlarging each district. Having run for the Bethlehem Town Board, where I had to cover the whole town of Bethlehem, that was quite different from covering one legislative district. So I don't really see that as a major issue. To me, the important thing is what we are doing if we pass this is we are giving the public the chance to vote. That's what we're doing. We're not either downsizing or not downsizing. We are giving the public the chance to vote. And frankly, Gil, my constituents, both in Bethlehem and New Scotland, are very interested in downsizing. That did seem to resonate with them. So I feel as though we've done the redistricting. We passed that first, which I think was critical because that is a way to protect minority rights and not go astray of the Voting Rights Act and all of those issues that we've dealt with for decades here in Albany County. But I think this is a case where we should let the public chime in on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last time I spoke about this issue, I think I went on about an hour. So I tried to write it down so I could keep it a little briefer. But this body, you're welcome. This body, I'm very proud to be a part of a body that's so diverse. We've had doctors, we've had lawyers, we've had active military, we've had veterans, we've had police officers, firefighters, we have laborers and labor leaders, we have administrators, we have those in healthcare, we have many different backgrounds, the list goes on. And we should be proud of that. We are the people we represent. And if we were to make this body where we have to be bigger, money has to, where our districts are bigger, money comes into play. We make it almost the first priority is raising money to get elected. It's the number one ability to be elected would be money. And we don't want to be that. I don't think we should be proud that we're sitting at this level of government where an everyday person has the ability to run and sit in office without money being a factor. We have heard that we are the largest county legislature in the state, but we rarely hear about the fact that if you talk about the average, about the number of people that we serve, we are average in New York State. What will happen if we are to lessen the size of this legislature and increase our districts? We all know that small towns and villages, such as the one I represent, will be less represented. We all know that the minority districts will become bigger and will be less represented. There'll be less opportunities for women. And by the way, we made history in this past primary where the first female county court judge was elected and the first female county controller was elected. Why do we want to create less opportunities for women in this body? We're going to create less opportunities for minorities. And oh, by the way, during this past primary, we elected the first minority, first African-American family court judge. Why do we want to create less opportunities for minorities in this body? We also will be less represented for those that are in need. How many times do we get phone calls because we're accessible? I get calls all the time. Can you contact my state representative or my federal representative? Because I have access to them and the regular people don't. I asked you to think about how many people have really asked you to downsize. Mr. Ethier stated that as well. In my district, none. At the public hearing, none. In the media, very little. We are the ones that bring up the issue, and it's a loaded question at that point. So why are we even considering this? Our population is increasing. Why aren't we considering increasing the legislature? I can make a better argument for that than downsizing at this point. So I appreciate it. I told you I would keep it brief. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Mr. Glenn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say, I don't know why we're torn with this. We're sued 3 times. And I think if you toy with this, you're going to end up with another lawsuit, county being sued again. I attended all of the, I want to be redundant, but I attended all of the public hearings. And no one showed up. 1 or 2 people showed up. So where's all of the people screaming about downsizing? The only place I hear downsizing is in this body. Some of the people here. Those are the only people I hear. When I come to the public hearing, And some of those people that are talking about downsizing are not at the public hearing, incidentally. But when I come, I don't hear anybody screaming downsizing. And I represent a district, and all of you know, I represent a district that's a majority district. And I don't hear anybody. Nobody ever said to me about downsizing, you got too many legislators. So where is the uproar? Where is the screaming at? It's here, in this body, that's where it's coming from. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just want to mention, I forgot to mention, we're not going to save any money to taxpayers. If we abolish 10 more people, we probably have to abolish some of the staff too. But with that, we're not saving the money. Maybe the taxpayers might get 50 cents back. If we would give it to them anyway, we just put it somewhere else. So this is not an income saving thing for the taxpayers at all.
Long roll call on the line.
Beston. No. Bullock.
No.
Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale.
No.
Chapman.
No.
Clay.
No.
Camiso. No. Kraus.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Demolowitz.
Yes.
Ethier.
No.
Feeney.
No.
Fine.
No.
Ferner.
No.
Grimm.
Yes.
Higgins. Hogan.
No.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
No.
Lakakis.
No.
Lockhart.
No.
Murriello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
No.
McLean Lane.
Yes.
Mendick.
Yes.
Miller.
No.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
No.
Smith.
No.
Stevens.
Yes.
Touche.
No.
Tunney.
No.
Ward.
No.
Local law M fails. 22 no, 15 yes. I believe we have a Rule 11 or 2 out there, Mr. Ethan.
I know it was a hard vote for everybody. I want to thank you the way you voted. And hopefully that will be in that issue for a few more terms for your benefit. Thank you once again.
Mr. Clay?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to revoke Rule 11 for the purpose of discussing the
No.
Need a motion to introduce Rule 11?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Clerk, please read 301.
Refunding bond resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the issuance of refunding bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $37,500,000 of the County of Albany, New York, pursuant to the local finance law and providing for other matters in relation thereto.
Long roll call, please.
Chairman,
Mr. Dawson.
could someone explain what the purpose of this is and how much the county is saving for this?
Mr. Bergdorf?
Sort of funny. In the Audit and Finance Committee, controller came forward, and he talked about refunding opportunities that he hopes to institute by August. There are a number of series of 2011 bond issuances and advanced refunding bonds from 2012, and he anticipates that the annual savings of this refunding, given the analysis of the present day, which was June 25th and June 26th when the analysis was done, would be about $250,000 per year with a present value savings of about $2.5 million.
Thank you.
One roll call, please.
Vesting. Yes. Bullock. Yes. Bergdorf.
Yes.
Kale. Yes. Chapman. Yes. Clay.
Yes.
Camisole. Kraus.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Dawson.
Yes.
Demalowitz.
Yes.
Ethier.
Yes.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine. Frenier.
Yes.
Grimm.
Yes.
Higgins. Hogan.
Yes.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Lekakis.
Yes.
Lockhart.
Yes.
Mariello.
Yes.
Mayo.
Yes.
McKnight.
Yes.
McLean Lane. Mendick.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Plosky.
Yes.
Reinhardt.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Smith. Stevens.
Yes.
Touche.
Yes.
Cunning.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Resolution 301 passes unanimously. Is there anything else? Okay, I believe we still have at least 3 individuals that are waiting to speak at the conclusion of our meeting. So do we have a motion to adjourn our meeting and move into the second and final part of our program? All those in favor? Okay. First name on the list